Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel and to our first video of a new series that we're starting today on helping bilingual teachers get their students to communicate and to interact. So we're calling this series Interactive Activities. So each of the videos will cover one interactive activity, as you can see here. And these activities will help you whether you're practicing language 1 or language 2 and you want students to talk to each other, interact with each other, using one of the languages. All you need to do is adapt what it is that you're teaching to fit the activity so that your students will talk more. And those are very flexible activities, the ones that we're going to share here, that you can use in a wide range of situations or for a wide range of activities. So let's get started. And today, the activity that we're talking about is called Four Corners. So let's see what it is. Four Corners actually is a very simple activity. And let me cover the source first. This activity and many others that we're going to cover in this series, they've been taken from a very interesting project called Project Excel, which came from a partnership between the University of Missouri and one particular school district in North Kansas, or in Kansas. So we highly recommend, the link is down below to the source. We highly recommend that you download the document and you look at the other activities that they have. But we're going to cover some of the key activities in this series too, if you prefer to wait. So what is Four Corners? Well, the purpose of this activity is to get students to support their opinions through oral language. So they need to express their opinions, whether they have a lot of language or little language. The interesting thing is that it involves the whole class, or it can also involve small groups. You can do it in small groups or as a whole class moving around. And this activity can be done by any level, except real beginners who may have some difficulties using language there and communicating, but who could do it with some support or some scaffolding. So how does the activity work? We're going to read the description, explain a few things, and then show you one example. So basically, it starts with the teacher asking a question or questions, and the answers to those questions will require students to choose one of four different options. So there's a question, there's four possible answers in the standard version. So each of these answers will be posted in a corner of the classroom, or in one of the walls of the classroom. So hence the name Four Corners, because you have four answers posted around the room. Because if the room is a rectangle, then you can post in four different corners. Once the students listen to the question or read the question and understand its meaning, so they walk or they move to the corner whose answer matches the one of their choice. Okay, so for example, you can have all the students in the middle, and once they hear the question, understand the options, each student walks to a corner and they form a group. Or you can have people in different groups, and then once they listen to an answer, they discuss and choose the answer that the group wants, like the answer with more votes. You could do that as well. But let's see an example of that. So example 1, I have four possible answers that I post in the different corners of the room. So every day, sometimes, quite often, and never. Because what I'm practicing in this case, I want students to work with frequencies. So I can ask the students to express how frequently they do certain habits by using questions such as, how often do you exercise? So students begin in the middle. If the answer is every day, they walk to the everyday corner. If the answer is sometimes, they walk to the sometimes corner, and so forth. How often do you cook? Same. How often do you travel? How often do you clean your room? So again, students will follow the same pattern, right? And this is why it's called Four Corners. Now imagine the potential of this activity. You can ask a science question about an animal and how often animals do certain things based on their adaptations. You can ask questions in a geography class about how often weather patterns change in their town or city. So how often is it sunny? How often is it rainy? And then you can change the answers too, right? Maybe once a month or more than 5 days a month. It really depends on what the topic of the discussion is. Another example here is the teacher reads statements. After listening to them, students walk to a corner of the room that contains the answer closest to the one they choose. So some of the sample statements. Homework is necessary. If students agree, they go to the agree corner. Or they can also disagree, partly disagree. And of course, after they walk to one of the corners, you ask them to elaborate. You don't have to ask all the students, but you can ask different students at a time, maybe 2 from each corner, to elaborate on why they agree, why they partly disagree, why they disagree, why they partly agree, and so on. And at each new rotation, with each new question, you'll be asking different students to elaborate so that everyone has a chance to participate. Other statements could be video games are harmful. The character Lucia in the story acted selfishly. So this is an example of using this activity for a reading comprehension activity or class. And there's also variations that you can add, right? You should probably change the name as you change the variations, but well, that's secondary. The most important thing is to get your objective met as a teacher. You can add another corner. You can add not a corner, but another answer. So I put corners, the word corners in quotes because it's not a corner anymore. But you can add another answer or option, like never, if that's necessary for the activity to work well. So you'll be asking the same questions: how often do you cook or exercise or travel? And then the answer. Actually, the answer that I added here was rarely, I think. Or maybe never really, but anyways, I added one. Variation 2, you can remove a corner if you think that 4 is not an appropriate number. So homework is necessary. Well, I agree, I disagree, or I neither agree or nor disagree. So this is another variation that you can have. So this is the activity 4 corners. If you like this activity and you want to see more, make sure you check out the link that I put in the source and go to Project Excel, or wait for some other videos where we're going to share some activities and strategies, different ones that you can use. And remember, these activities do not to be used only in English. You can use in English or in any other language that you're using to teach your class in. I hope you found this useful, and don't forget to check out the other videos that we recommend here at the end of this one. See you in the next video.